Hello everyone, my name is Sadie and I'm an undergraduate student studying Parks and Resource Management at Slippery Rock University. I also work at the Macoskey Center. Welcome to the final installment of our Earth Month video series. Personally, one of the ways in which I live sustainably is through upcycling furniture. In this short how-to video, I will share with you how to take an old piece of furniture and make it new again. At the end of this video, I will show you guys some neat ways to turn your furniture into a sweet little hideaway for your furry friends. So let's get to it. Here is a list of the materials that I used for my project, but you can use anything that you have lying around. First and foremost, you will need an old piece of furniture. You'll also need some paint, painter's tape, clear finish, paint brushes and rollers, paint tray or plate, and some sandpaper. If you don't have a paint tray or paper plate, maybe you have some cardboard that is cluttering your corner or some plastic bags that you just don't know what to do with. Just as long as you have something to mix your paints on, this is a great way to give those unwanted items a purpose. This second list includes some items that aren't necessary to your project but could give it a little flair and a touch of your personality. The paint scraper is great for cleaning off your paint rollers and saves you some extra paint from being washed down the drain. Screw hooks will be used to hang our homemade hammock. I will use some extra yarn I had lying around to make this. Sanding handle, power sander, and drills will speed up your processes, but again, are not necessary for what we're doing. And then a screwdriver is just if you have any bolts or screws that you need to remove from your piece of furniture while you're painting and making your masterpiece. So let's take our furniture outside to start sanding. Make sure that if you aren't taking this outside to sand that you are in a well-ventilated area, have a mask, some safety glasses, and you are able to clean up the mess afterward. To do this process, I'm using a sanding handle to give me some extra grip and power. If you are using a power sander, it may be a little difficult to get into those cracks and crevices, so make sure that you go back in by hand to make sure that your piece is fully sanded. You will definitely want to sand off every inch of your furniture to ensure that when you go to paint it, it sticks and it stays. You don't have to worry too much about the stain being completely removed, just as long as the shiny finish and any bumps and blemishes are sanded off entirely. And don't be scared to tear off a small piece of sandpaper to get into those beveled edges. You will want to avoid or remove the handle and any other objects from your furniture when sanding, and make sure to avoid sanding any area that you want to be a part of your final outcome. For this next part, you can either stay outside or move back inside. Maybe you have some old paint from when you redid your bathroom a year ago and you just don't have a use for it anymore. Instead of letting it go to waste, you can use it for this. The great thing about this process is that you could use any type of paint. For this, I'm using a latex paint, which I will then coat in a clear finish later on once it is dried. So grab a paintbrush. I'm using a 2-inch one, but you could use any size. And I'm filling in the areas that the roller will not be able to get to. While we're painting, let's talk about why upcycling furniture is so great. Instead of throwing away old furniture and it ending up in a dump, you are making a masterpiece that reflects you. You also don't get the crazy packaging and bubble wrap that comes with a new piece. This is reducing the amount of waste that you are producing and keeping our earth a little bit more clean. Another great thing about upcycling is the convenience of it. Most of us have an old piece of furniture that has seen better days just lying around. Or maybe you're moving and need some new furniture, but don't have a great budget, so you head to a Salvation Army and buy a used piece that maybe needs a little sprucing up. Maybe there's a piece that has sentimental value that your family has passed on from generation to generation, and you would like to fix it up to keep up the tradition. This is a great way to save money and create something that is your very own. In our busy lives, we often don't give ourselves enough time to relax and explore our creative sides. You could spend this time creating with your family, or have this time alone to paint, listen to music, and let loose. This is an awesome way to pause, take a breath, and express yourself while also having some fun. Now, let's clean off our rollers and brushes and start the next part of our project. Here I'm taking 1/4-inch painter's tape to create a thin, sharp border for our main painting. Then I'm guiding the tape with my one hand and then pressing it down with the other to create a design or pattern. This will make it easier and give us a cleaner finish when we go to paint our design. Your design can be anything you would like. Maybe you don't want to use painter's tape. Maybe you want to freehand yours. That's great. Whatever your vision entails, do what you have to do to get there. If you are looking to create a fun little space in your furniture for your furry friend, I'm going to show you some neat ways to do so. For a little hammock, you will need some yarn and scissors. If you have some yarn lying around, then that's perfect to use. First, you will want to cut several strings at a size that would fit into the space you will be hanging in. I cut 8, but I have thicker yarn. You may have 10 pieces or 20 pieces, whatever works best for you. You will want an even number so that we can pair them off for the next part. We will begin by knotting off the tops of each pair, creating an even straight line at the tops of your strings. It's totally okay that our furry friends are getting curious. Enjoy this time with them. Here's a closer view on how I tied off my ends. This might help you complete your hammock a little faster while also giving you secure knots. Now that we have a straight line of knots across the tops, you will want to take the second and third strings and tie those off, then repeat across, keeping the outer strings out of this row of knots. Keep alternating this pattern of knots until you have a desired length of hammock space. Once you feel like you're ready to finish up your hammock, we will begin the last row. The last row must include the outer strings into the knots. This will give you mirrored and clean finished ends. When you are all finished with your last row of knots, trim up the ends to give them an even length. Now that you have your completed hammock, feel free to try out some different colors and patterns that reflect you or your furry friend a little more. Now that our painting is dried, it's time to do my favorite part. To protect your work and furniture, I highly recommend doing a couple coats of clear finish. I used a matte one, but you could use any type that would make your work stand out. Let's get to hanging our hammocks. I'm going to drill and put screw hooks in here, but you could put them wherever there is the most support in your furniture. If you're using a drill, make sure that the bit you are using is the same width as your screw, minus the threads. I will be putting in 4 hooks, but you can use as many or as few as it takes you to hang yours. Let's take a look at our finished product. If you decide that the hammock doesn't work in your space, try out some different ideas. You can put a pillow on the base or even utilize the shelf from before. Just make it uniquely yours. Practicing sustainability through turning your old furniture into art is one of the most enjoyable ways to express yourself while staying kind to our earth. Thank you all for joining me in creating this piece and practicing sustainability. We hope you had a great Earth Month. Please feel free to check out our social media pages for updates and future programs. We hope you all stay healthy and safe.